Welcome to SPPH 500 Pandemic Edition. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the course structure and so on, just to try and introduce things. There's going to be a few other videos that do a big picture overview of the course and so on. The first thing I want to point out is that the course website has everything you need. For those of you who took SPPH 400 last term, which was probably the majority of you, while I wasn't directly involved in my face in teaching the course, I had built all the stuff behind the scenes. So the website is set up very similar to how it was for that course, and the structure is pretty similar as well. I'll also be having a video that I'm going to work on soon, showing you how to navigate the course website, so where you can find things and stuff like that. Just a little bit about the structure of the course and the way things are going to run. I've set it up, so I've spent a good chunk of time standing in front of this whiteboard in an empty room here, recording myself, talking to nobody, but pretending there's someone on the other side and trying to make the videos as watchable as possible. So for each week, there's going to be a set of videos that you watch. And there's going to be some that are listed as optional. So these are stuff that are either little extras that you can explore if you want, or at times they might be things that are a bit of a recap from the previous course that are there if you want to refresh on it, but you won't need to if you're remembering that material well enough. So I've tried to flag stuff optional as being exactly that, optional for you. So before our class meetings start, you're going to be watching videos, maybe reading the notes or consuming the material in some way. So there's lots of videos, there's notes, there's some tutorials that were recorded by TAs. You don't need to watch and consume everything. So similar to the last course, you can kind of choose which pieces you want to go about. If you prefer just watching, you might not need to read much of the notes. If you really like reading, you might be watching a bit less of the videos. So you can choose what material you want to consume to prepare yourself for that week's topic. So I've tried to set it up to be able to work on the course material as much as possible without having to be all of us physically in the same virtual space at the same time, knowing that time zones are challenging, just life in general is challenging these days. So to have as much as possible being able to be done on your own time in what works for you. And then sort of in the scheduled class meeting time we're going to meet. So every Wednesday we're going to meet from 1 till 2 Vancouver time. And this is going to be a meeting taking place over Zoom. So I've tried to make it not too long, being mindful of the fact that the majority of the lecture content I've recorded. So I don't want to add too much extra time onto what you're doing. But the videos don't have everything, and I guess what I'm trying to say is we're going to meet for that 1 hour every week, and what we're going to do in there is I'm going to spend some time summarizing a little bit. So I'm not going to reteach the material, right? I don't want to ask you to watch videos and then waste your time by repeating that exact same stuff when we meet live, but I'm going to summarize it, just saying here's some of the main things we talked about, and then spend time answering some questions. So this is going to be your chance to, after you have consumed the material, to come hear me summarize it a little bit, clear any confusion that you have. The questions can be about the video content, notes, maybe the learning activities that you're working on, any of that sort of thing. I'm going to try my best to make sure that those meetings get recorded and posted somewhere on the website. I haven't worked much yet with Zoom being able to record the meetings and see how those get posted. Oh, I guess mentioning Zoom, when we're in the meetings, if you want to have your camera on or off, that's completely up to you. You know, from my perspective, having a few cameras on maybe is nice. So I'm not talking to a completely, blank screen, but I totally understand, the reason for not wanting to have your camera on, right? You get zoomed out, it's your own personal space, and so really that's up to you. Won't be upset at all if you choose not to put your camera on, and if you want to, go for it, great. Doesn't really matter, do what you're comfortable with. So that's going to be our class meetings. Aside from that, there's 3 TAs who are going to be available for the course. You'll meet them online. they have a few different things they're going to be working on, but one of the most front-facing things you're going to see them for is each week they're each going to be holding 1 hour where they're online, and we weren't sure if we should term it office hour or workshop or tutorial, or call it whatever you want to call it. But what's going to be happening there is a few different things. It's going to be an opportunity for you to go on and ask questions and get answers from them. It's also going to be a chance, so there's these learning activities. Each week has these learning activities that were similar to what we had in the previous course. So for the week's content, there's some data sets, some questions for you to work through it and try and answer and so on. And the main change this year is, this term is, rather than doing that in our face-to-face meetings, I'm shifting it to TA time. So what I've learned, even though I was only minimally involved last term, was that in some sense the meeting time might have been too short to work through them, and also that the stuff worked really well in the TA meeting time, where they could maybe summarize some stuff, work through some things, and you could discuss it with them. So that's going to be one of the changes from last term. I'm going to spend the hour summarizing some things and answering your questions. TA time, you'll have, I said, 3 different options of hours where you can go visit, ask them questions about the learning activities, and they might demonstrate some stuff there as well. I do give the TAs a fair amount of autonomy in how they want to structure their meetings. So I give some suggestions on these are the different things you can do, but there's a good chance that the 3 of them will end up looking slightly different because they'll structure it in their own way and what works best for them. In the course, we're going to continue using the statistical software R. And if you want to use another software, you're welcome to. If you're more comfortable with something else, that's fine. You're not forced to use this, but this is what I'll be demonstrating things in and what I'll be able to offer the most support for. But you can use other softwares if you prefer that. In terms of the evaluation for the course, there's 4 assignments over the course and a final exam. Okay. The assignment's worth 60, the final exam worth 40. The 4 assignments, so there's an assignment which I've labeled assignment 0. That one doesn't really cover much of the course content. That sort of brings the previous course content back into play. So it tries to refresh you on what did you learn in intro stats, and it shows us where we're going to go in this course. Okay, so the data you work on that assignment 0 is going to be data that's explored on assignment 1 and assignment 2. Assignment 1 and assignment 2 are the heavy assignments for the course. Assignment 3 is a little bit lighter because it's at the end of the course. And the assignments 1 and 2, they generally involve 2 components. There's going to be a component where you have some data and you analyze it and you answer questions about it. So I say, is this variable related to that? What's the probability of this happening? These sorts of questions. Okay, so very much a statistics analytic type course or type assignment. And then the second portion of the assignments is going to be taking that analysis you did and writing it up for sort of a mock publication. Okay, and as we get to those, and on the website as well, there's some guidelines on exactly what we mean by that, what you need to do and not do. But the goal of this is to separate into 2 parts. What happens on the statistical analysis side of things, right? How do you analyze the data and try and get some summaries out that help address a research question? And then how do you pull things from that analysis and prepare them for a publication? And one thing you're going to notice through doing that is 90% of the things that go into analysis do not get written up in a publication. In a publication, you don't talk about checking the assumptions, examining residual plots, these sorts of things, but they're important to do. Okay, so that's how we try and separate it. With those, there's going to be something submitted roughly every 2 weeks for the course. What I wanted to mention, with those, do an analysis and then write it up is for a mock publication. The way we structure those is the analysis portion of the assignment is due at some point. Then 1 week later, you should get that returned with some feedback from TAs. And then 1 week after that, your write-up for publication is due. So what we try and do is let you submit the analysis portion, get some feedback on that before you submit the publication write-up. And like I said, we'll talk more about that. It's not a publication write-up, but that's the simplest term I can use to describe it right now. So on the course website, I won't spend time in an intro video explaining what's in the syllabus and things like that. You can take a look at the syllabus. There's a weekly schedule that outlines what's happening in each week, what materials being covered, what assessments are coming out and when they're due and so on. So definitely take a look at that. Make sure you've got your due dates in your schedule somewhere so you can keep those in mind for yourself. And make sure you check out the other video I'm going to have that shows you how to navigate the course website and see where everything is. So there'll be a few more videos like this of navigating the website, me introducing myself, and providing a big picture overview of what's covered in this course.
Stick around, guys. There's more to see, and please stay safe.